Good morning, and perhaps even afternoon or evening to some of you, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Darlene Rondo, and I'm the Vice President Best Practices for Leonardo's online merchandising group, and I'm going to be your host for today's event. Today's event is entitled Creating Online Content That Converts Shoppers. I run our Best Practices group at Leonardo, and my role is to work with hotel marketers, top brands, and industry associations around the world to heighten awareness of new online visual storytelling techniques that actually motivate consumers throughout their shopping journey. And today, in addition to being the host, I'm also going to lead off with a discussion about multimedia best practices. Our insights into multimedia are based on more than 100 million site visits of people viewing hotel media from all over the globe. A few housekeeping items before we begin. First, we're going to be recording the webinar, and at the conclusion of today's session, we're going to send you a thank you for joining us email with a link to that recording, which you can share or listen to again at your leisure. Additionally, and I see some of you have already found it, there's a questions dialog box in your GoToMeeting panel. As we move through our discussion today, please feel free to send in your questions, and we'll address them throughout our webinar as well as at the end of the presentation if we have any time left. We're going to be tweeting during today's discussion as well, so please feel free to join in the conversation at #LeoWebinar. And before we continue, I always launch a poll, and I want to get the audience's take on this question. What is your biggest challenge with managing content for your hotel? And so up on your screen, you can see you have three answers to choose from. The first is, how do I choose content to create my hotel story? The second is, how do I achieve results on a tight budget? And then the third challenge is, I just don't have enough time to manage all of the content for my hotel. And your answers to this question really help us understand what to focus on during today's presentation, as well as what content to include in future webinars so that we can help with helping you understand how to address the challenges that you have a little bit better. So I see the majority of you have weighed in, and it's kind of a tight race between how do I choose content to create my hotel story and achieving results on a tight budget. So thanks everybody for weighing in on that. Really appreciate it. And we are going to continue with our webinar event. I'd like to introduce our special guest, Christine Hopkins, who is the Director of Communications for Hotel Galvez and Spa and the Tremont House, both of which are Wyndham Grand Hotels, and she manages the Harbor House Hotel and Marina marketing activities as well. Christine is responsible for media relations, advertising content, all of their social media outlets, websites, as well as marketing tools such as Leonardo's vBrochure. And Christine is accredited in public relations and loves and lives in Galveston, which she has promoted in various professional roles for more than 20 years. She's received numerous awards throughout her career, and Christine is a proud graduate of Texas A&M University and has a bachelor's degree in journalism, specializing in public relations and speech communications, as well as a minor in marketing. Christine, you've been awfully busy in the past few years, and welcome to today's webinar. It's really a pleasure to have you.
Thanks.
So we're going to continue, and as I said, I'm not only your host today, but I'm going to start off for the first 15 minutes or so, and we're going to talk about the future of digital, which is visual storytelling. And again, you have a questions dialog box in your GoToMeeting panel, so please send in your questions as we go through our discussion today. And though today we're going to mainly focus on the logistics and technical aspects of multimedia, we should remember that it's all in the name of delivering an ideal storytelling environment, because it's the story that's important. In other words, it's not about the content per se, but it's about the story that the content tells about the hotel. And every hotel has a story. The key is curating and displaying that content into something meaningful to the shopper. A recent trend is snackable content, which is defined as bite-sized chunks of information that can be quickly consumed by its audience. Even hotel marketers who understand that it's about the story, not the content, still sometimes spend too much time trying to create an overall encompassing story that covers every single feature and element of the hotel into 1, 2, or 3-minute video, or they have, hundreds of generic photos. The reality is that any given hotel may have many stories. From the Thursday night manager's cocktail party to the complimentary breakfast, the guest room desk setup with ample electrical outlets for all their devices, even free Wi-Fi can be turned into a story. The point is that your hotel features that are used in the images, virtual tours, or a 15 to 30-second video can be used and should be used to describe an anticipated experience. What consumers are interested in and how they search through your property visually should be driving how you present it. I often see a gallery for images, another one for virtual tours, and a third for video. And that's just not a great experience for the hotel shopper. Not only are you forcing the consumer to click too many times to get the information they're looking for, but you're taking them off page and in most cases further away from the booking path. But more importantly, consumers don't shop this way. They don't come on your site and think, I want to see all of your 85 images for this hotel in a random manner. Then I want to click on a separate link that takes me to a third-party site, and then I want to be forced to download a new plugin when I want to view a virtual tour. This just isn't how people behave. So our guidance is stop showing the exterior of your hotel as your hero shop. Unless your hotel is of architectural importance, like the Hotel Galvez that we'll see in a minute, consumers really don't care. What they want to see are guest rooms, not exteriors. And I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. Your visual stories must be available and optimized to be consumed on all the devices and all the channels. Most brands and travel websites provide an edited version of small images on smartphone websites when consumers are asking for the same content available on all of their devices as they travel across screens, the desktop, phone, and tablet. We recently published a 31-page ebook on the topic of multimedia that contains all of the details that I'm going to share with you today. So don't worry about writing all of this down. Instead, either contact us at the end of today's webinar or go to leonardo.com and look under the Knowledge Center tab for a link to download the ebook. Let's start with photos, which is really the price of entry today. People interact with media differently throughout the journey. The closer they get to choosing you, the more time they're going to spend with you. As an example, viewing video is probably more likely in the latter stages of the shopping journey than in the early stages. I'm going to be sharing with you quantity and quality specifications throughout the next several slides. And again, don't worry about writing all this stuff down. It's all available in the ebook. But the common theme throughout is going to be produce your images and your media in the highest resolution possible. I have called out specific exceptions with Expedia simply because they have some unique requirements that are really important for you to know so that your shoppers get the ultimate experience on a site like they have. And generally speaking, the higher end the property, the more photos you'll have because in general, there's just more to show off. So what are consumers looking for? When you're creating your multimedia plan, please keep in mind the hotel shopper's interest in order of media category. Last year, we analyzed over 500 million views of media. Guest rooms are viewed 2 times more than the next most popular category, which is restaurants. And the fact that restaurants is the second most viewed category, recreation is the third, and notice exterior is ninth, provides insight into the fact that consumers don't really care about the outside of the building, but rather they're interested in what the room looks like, where they're going to eat, and what they're going to do when they get there. In other words, the consumer is looking to understand what their experience is going to be at the hotel. What is the hotel's story? Let's move on to virtual tours. There's sort of a love-hate relationship with virtual tours. On one hand, it's really nice for the consumer to be able to move around virtually. But sometimes consumers will say that it's too slow, particularly if they don't know how to spin the virtual tour. And as many of you may know, virtual tours are simply photos that are stitched together to create an illusion of movement. And what they do is they really increase the authenticity and therefore confidence and give people the ability to scan around at their leisure, whereas photos are one-dimensional and they can't be interactive, so to speak, or controlled by the viewer. You can see the specifications relative to virtual tours listed here. Again, they're in that ebook that I referred to on multimedia, which you can find on our website. And once more, production in high definition is ideal. And in terms of quantity, good production formats for short vignettes of your property highlights is a really good use of virtual tours. So in terms of the benefits, and I've separated images from virtual tours, images are easily skimmed and shared, and photos don't quite require the same amount of download times as richer forms of media. But in either case, regardless of whether it's a photo or a virtual tour, visuals drive engagement and conversions. And promote stickiness on your website, which is always a good thing because it makes you memorable and it begins to create a relationship with the consumer. And so that's the advantage that virtual tours have. We are going to continue and move on to video. But before we do that, I am just going to share this thought with you. There's still a perception out there that videos are really expensive. And certainly they can be, and if you have the budget, go for it, but they don't have to be. And we're going to talk about video now. There are 4 distinct types of video content. Now, I'm not talking about video formats. I'm talking about video contact and content. And what you choose depends on your marketing objectives and budget. You can choose all of this type of content, or you can be selective. So the video tour, the first one, gives guests the feeling of walking through the building. Testimonial videos add credibility, number 2, and leave a positive impression on the shopper. Hosted profiles, number 3, provide personal insights into the hotel, and they connect emotionally with the shopper. And then number 4, scripted ads are generally left to the pros, and they can be used in a variety of marketing activity, in particular your advertising efforts. Now we're going to talk about production formats. And we're going to start with video slideshows. Video slideshows is an easy, economical solution before going to full motion video. And it's a very snackable form of video. Since slideshows are produced from your high definition photos, they would share the same quality. So again, it's important to make sure that you are getting your images produced in the highest definition that you possibly can. Adding music and digital manipulation gives the illusion of movement, and because of that, it's more inspirational. And using a combination of a short overview video plus property scenes or vignettes, as we refer to them as, is really ideal. Consumers' expectation of video can be largely attributed to the popularity of sites like YouTube, Vine, Instagram, and others, where whether standard or premium, videos can and should be funny, inspiring, educational, and what they all have in common is that they're personal, they draw attention, and they resonate with viewers in ways that other mediums just can't do. And this is where you can really shine a light on the value you're providing so that you're not competing on price alone. After all, who doesn't want to increase their ADR? And one of the best ways to do this is to show the hotel shopper what they'll get for their money. As with other formats, there are ideal sizes and production specs that should be followed to maximize your investment properly. And as I discussed earlier, your production choices should relate to your guest interests. For those of you who subscribe to Leonardo's vBrochure system, as Christine's going to talk about in a minute, you can access the reporting module to actually see what media is being viewed by hotel shoppers looking at your property. A video is really a movie, and we can think of it that way in storytelling. And storytelling is really just things happening and a reason to care. And when they're done well, they grab attention, compel action, are shared, and importantly, they're remembered. Each production format has its own set of benefits. The overarching advantage is that video increases stickiness or time on site and engagement. And videos with a combination of stories about your property is the ultimate presentation to shoppers. While it's a long-standing tradition that pictures are the basis of storytelling, don't ignore the power of words to heighten and support the visuals. Our verbal mind and our visual mind work best together. And what I mean here is that the visuals are put into context and strengthened by the key points and value statements being made by the image. So keep in mind the purpose of each textual element. With captions, please don't use captions that are not shopper friendly, like EXT123, other, room, and you'd be surprised at how often you see captions having this nomenclature. Instead, name them something meaningful like free internet or complimentary breakfast. Next, the short descriptions are going to make someone take notice. And you're going to see some good examples when Christine shows you what she's done for the Galvez, really a good best practice use in short description writing. And then long descriptions, this is your opportunity really to set yourself apart from the competition and really talk up your value. Follow best practices by using bolded, bulleted, and interesting text. So, which tells a better story? Here we have a family-oriented environment, good weather, looks like fun. You can eat by the pool. It's not a place where you're going to go to have a quiet day in the sun because you'll probably be hearing Marco Polo all day at the pool. And this is a story. Now here's another image, serene, elegant, sophisticated, creates the expectation of fine dining in an international setting. This is another story. And it's really a trick question because both of these are telling a great story, but it depends on the brand and the story that you want to tell. So these are good examples of stories that are very different, but nevertheless, a story and giving the consumer an idea of what their anticipated experience is going to be. So a combination of visuals is best, professional, in-house, and user-generated. But at minimum, high-definition photos are worth the money. And I have highlighted sort of, if you look at this, the pros and the cons. In the professional column, lots of great reasons why you should have professional photos taken. you need to understand what the copyright and distribution rights are associated with the professional media. And of course, professional media shots and production require a budget. Then in the center column, we have in-house visuals. Often, they're quick, you own them, and also you know your property best, and that gives you some, ownership insights that are to your advantage. But, as we learned up front, many of us don't have a lot of time and resources to dedicate to this stuff, and that's one of the challenges with in-house. And then the third column is user-generated content. User-generated content, it's fresh, it's generally fun, and it really engages guests because it is coming from people like themselves. But some of the challenges could be that some of the shots may be outside the brand. These are not professional photographers, so the photographs may be unfocused and sometimes not of the best quality. So there are pros and cons to each of these. And then lastly, before I hand this over to Christine to continue to talk about her specific experiences at her property, here is an at-a-glance quick reference guide. And again, it's in the multimedia ebook that you can find on our website, but it just gives you a quick glance of the specs associated with each of the different types of multimedia. So with that, I am going to reintroduce Christine Hopkins, who is the Director of Communication for Hotel Galvez, the Tremont, and Harbor House. And Christine, I'm going to turn it over to you, and you can take it from here.
Thank you. Well, this is our banner property. This is the Hotel Galvez and Spa. Of course, it's in Galveston, Texas. The hotel is 103 years old, so it's quite striking on the exterior. It's a classic historic hotel, and it may be small by modern standards, but it's definitely a memorable hotel. The Hotel Galvez offers 224 guest rooms. We also have 6 suites, and we have more than 13,000 square feet of meeting space. So, of course, as you can guess, good visuals are critical when we're promoting this property.
And Christine, as I said earlier, this is a good example of when you would want to feature an exterior shot because the building itself is so prominent and special.
And for anyone who's ever been to Galveston, it's really a landmark. People know the hotel because they've driven by it and they've seen it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Next slide. So, of course, we want to tell our story. One of the ways we set our hotel apart from the competition is by trying to tell this story. And we do this by through compelling, rich media, which is, of course, as she mentioned, photos and videos, and accompanying text descriptions. So we all know that a good picture is important, but the accompanying text description helps frame our hotel story, and it also allows travel shoppers to figure what we're about and what we can offer them. So we actually had a consultant work with us on our text descriptions, and I think they really did a great job. Travel shoppers will view, on average, about 10 images per visit, and double that for guest rooms. So we include lots of visuals on our site. In our V-brochure, which is, as you all know, syndicated to thousands of travel channels, we keep our photos current, and we feature photos that guests want to see. We've also tried to make it a lot easier for our travel shoppers by customizing our player. So you'll see we have a section called Features and Amenities, Sleep, and Meet and Celebrate. They also add another layer to our story, and our top features are clearly visible. So again, great visuals can really appeal to travel shoppers, and it really can set your hotel apart. And that's why we use high-quality images on our site to ensure guests can know exactly what they're signing up for. We actually schedule a professional photo shoot every year or two to showcase our renovations. So, for example, that pool shot that we just had on the last screen was just taken this year.
And Christine, here's a question from David in the audience. We're looking at your V-brochure, and he's wanting to know, how did you go about creating your story and getting this all set up?
Well, we used some of it. We used from our consultant. They kind of helped guide us on some of our, what we wanted to do with our features and amenities and our sleep and meet and celebrate. So some of the content, as far as the copy, relates a little to what we have on our website. So, but we felt it was important to put bullets. We also did mention some of our history. Of course, we always mention that we're a historic hotel. We were built in 1911. We're 4 Diamond. So those are all kind of the things that we want to share with people, and again highlight the space.
And you've done a really good job here with using your bullets and really highlighting the things that you want to quickly grab someone's attention about, like the flexible meeting space, the pool, the spa, the dining, that sort of thing.
And I think with our story, we're not a new hotel. We're a historic hotel. So people should, know to expect that. And so that's why I think it's important in a lot of our copy and in our photos that we emphasize that it's, it's 1911, it's historic, it's, because as you all know, people have a certain expectation with new construction versus a historic property. I mean, there's a different charm and ambiance to a historic property that people need to know.
Exactly. Here is our next slide for you.
Okay. Well, let's see. Can you go back a slide? I'm sorry.
Sure.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the video.
Go ahead.
Okay. So one of the things that we wanted to mention, we use rich media, so we're using our photos. We also use video. This is the way we tell our story through our video. It's snackable. So it's just 45 seconds, so it's enough time to show off our amenities, but it's not too long to lose people's attention so they move on. Of course, they're extremely important for our hotel. We know how important travel shoppers, they want to envision what they can expect, also what nearby attractions they can visit, and what type of experience they're going to have. So we used a professional video for this. It showcases our hotel in an appealing way. So if you have a chance, please watch it. It features our top amenities like our meeting rooms, event spaces, including the ballroom, our restaurants and dining options, as well as our spa. And also this video has really lively, upbeat music. So we wanted it to be fun. So, and it's short and sweet. So again, it adds a personal touch to our hotel story and shows travel shoppers what type of experience they can expect at our hotel.
And, you said, Christine, a few interesting things there. It is fun and upbeat music, which matches the personality of the hotel and, what the environment is going to be like. And the fact that it's just 45 seconds, you can say and tell a lot in 45 seconds. It seems at a glance that that's just a really short amount of time, but it serves 2 purposes. It captures the highlights of the property and gives the travel shopper something interactive to experience. And again, back to the stickiness, it keeps them on your site, and it's going to be more memorable because it is interactive. So having a video tour like that is a really smart way to go.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I really like that video quite a bit. So the next thing that's important to us, of course, is to engage with our travel shoppers. You'll note the big, bold headings next to the images. They really entice the readers to click for our sleep heading. We've written, revel in the beauty of the Gulf from within your deluxe guest room. So this really resonates with travel shoppers, and it immediately gives them an image of paradise and relaxation. Of course, we have our nice room shot of one of our Gulf-facing king rooms. We also do our best to follow Leonardo's best practices for storytelling. So when we can, we include a maximum of 8 images in each tab, which reduces the chance of travel shoppers to keep flipping around to find what they're looking for. We've also accompanied our images with compelling text descriptions, and we've customized our vBrochure player and provided rich media as far as the images and videos. And you'll also notice, like on this example, our text descriptions fit into the box, so so there's no scroll bar needed, which I know some of us, it gets annoying when you have to keep scrolling through to read the copy. So we really try to highlight the best amenities and have a nice headline, bullets, and short copy.
Excellent insights, Christine, and I just want to draw everyone's attention to the fact, you mentioned this a little bit earlier as well, writing the copy perhaps for many of you is already done because you have a website or your brand has a website where much of the copy has already been written. So it's a question of just taking that and then putting it into a bulleted list, bold words that are important to the description. And so it's a sort of a quick and easy way, and you're able to repurpose the work that is probably already done in describing your property. So really smart, a really smart way to do that. And
well,
here's your, yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, there's a little bit of a latency in the delay of the slide. So here's your next slide.
Another thing that we've just added on here, a smart way to highlight our specials, is we've added a specials section, and in this particular example, we've mentioned the Wyndham Pick Your Perk program, and some of the bullets are below kind of explain, what the benefits are. So we're promoting, like I said, the Pick Your Perks. I've also seen some examples, though, where hotels promote meetings, they promote their wedding and spa packages, as well as entertainment coupons and other discounts. So this is something I just recently added, and we do plan to add some summer packages that are added that are offered by our spa, as well as discounts that are available at area attractions and local theaters that are going to be available to all of our guests.
It's a really good idea, Christine, because it extends the reach and the promotion of those specials in a targeted way. And so, again, a really good way to do that. Let's move on to social.
Okay. Facebook. We're all on Facebook. So, of course, results. We've seen a lot of engagement on Facebook, and I think that's because we're active. We're always posting compelling photos. We're responding to our followers when they like something, comment, and they share our posts. Currently, we have about 9,000 likes, but most importantly, we have more than 39,000 visits, and we're rated as 4.5 stars on Facebook. Now on Twitter, we have almost 1,000 followers. Like everyone, I'm always checking our Facebook page every morning. I also monitor it via my phone throughout the day. And one thing that I also do is I encourage our catering managers and our concierge to post photos regularly and encourage their vendors like florists and photographers to do the same. So here's an example, like again, we're always trying to respond on once a week. We always post a congratulations message to all of our brides and grooms. We know that millions of people are active on social media and they want to discuss and they want to share and talk. So it wouldn't be complete if we weren't engaging with our travelers on social media. So again, it's a two-way conversation. So we respond to comments and we shout out to our guests who are getting married at the hotel.
And I think what you do here, Christine, accents a very important point. It is a two-way conversation, and people, for the most part, don't want to be sold to on social channels. They want to, they love to see photos. We know that for sure. And so it's a really good way to extend the anticipated experience and the personality of the property, and you guys have done a great job here.
Thanks. And here's just some other examples to great visuals. On the left side, I posted a photo from our 2011 Centennial Celebration on the hotel's anniversary on June 10th. And on the right, it's actually posts from a local florist, Downtown Blooms, and I reposted their, they had posted onto our page, and then I shared it back on our timeline. Again, we got lots of feedback and comment. People love weddings, and of course, they also love historic photos too. so we really, like as I mentioned previously, encourage our staff and also encourage our catering managers to tell their vendors like florists and photographers to share their photos and videos on our site, and we'll make sure and share them through all of our social media outlets.
Yes, it's a great way to extend your reach, and it means that you don't, as the hotel marketer, you don't always have to be creating the content. You can rely on your vendors and your partners to help you do that on social channels. So a good way to do that.
And also it's important, we want to make sure that we have information, important information that the travelers are looking for. So, you'll find our basic information, where we're located, our hours, the website. We have specific Facebook apps so they can tour the property and book directly from Facebook. Actually, we've installed all 5 of Leonardo's apps, but we've also customized them for our brand and made them unique to our hotel story. So the picture on the cover right now is, and I'll probably be changing that out shortly, but we did a wedding vow renewal in June, and those are all of our couples that participated. And then actually today is, this is kind of an interesting tidbit too. Today's Wrongway Corrigan's day, and he's from Galveston. He was born in Galveston. So that was kind of my little interesting fact that I posted today on Facebook.
And that's a good tip for those in the audience. It doesn't have to be this, monumental effort. It can just be, hey, I heard this on the news this morning, or as I was driving in, I noticed that, there's a local event, there's something that's happening that, I just want to share. And then that keeps people engaged. It keeps the content on Facebook, in this case, fresh. And it's a really sort of easy way to make that happen.
And so those are the apps that we're using right now, the ones you just popped up. So this next slide are some other examples of how we engage on Facebook. Oops, I just lost it. On the left side, you'll see Tune Into the Little Couple. One of the show, The Little Couple, filmed at the Hotel Galvez recently, and when they did that, the episodes aired on June 10th and June 17th, so we kind of posted something on that, and they have a huge following, so we made sure to use their hashtags in our posts. And we had great feedback on that, 336 likes, 12 shares, and 41 comments. So, of course, the Little Couple pool had its own little audience to it as well, or following to it. And so we try to share when we're in news stories or we're in articles, we'll post links to those articles as well. If they're even just general Galveston articles, we'll post that information. And then on the right side, you'll see an example. We make sure our guests know that we have a theater menu available for patrons of the local, we have an opera house here in Galveston, so we're promoting the show that's coming up as well as the theater menu. And again, it's important for us to promote the things that are coming up. So we might show a photo from an event last year or an upcoming event, and just encourage people to come back or plan for their next visit.
And can you share with us any results, Christine, that you have seen?
Well, last year we had over 2,000 views of our V-brochure from Facebook, so lots of interest and traction from Facebook because of the great story we're telling. We also see a lot of traffic from specific travel channels like TripAdvisor, Priceline, and Concur, which is a business travel channel, and we're getting a lot of exposure on these travel channels. So, I think it's all positive. We're always trying to keep our photos updated and keeping that content current. And soon, one thing we are planning to do is we plan to integrate the web galleries that are available through Leonardo onto our new vanity sites. So this is going to make our job a little easier. We'll increase our efficiency and save time. That way we know our photos are current everywhere. It's also nice to be able to upload our media in V-brochure and then know it's syndicated to thousands of channels, so it eliminates the need for us to do the work twice or emailing each individual site. Instead, we know it's just all out and it's current and it has the best good content, rich media, and good photos.
Excellent. And we have a question from Ari in our audience. And the question is Facebook and Twitter the primary social network channels that you use for the Hotel Galvez?
I use more Facebook. We are using Twitter, but Facebook I think really reflects our guests more. It's just been we see a lot more engagement on Facebook versus Twitter, but we do try to do things as they're happening on Twitter, like a photo of a wedding. And again, like a lot of properties, the issue is having someone there to help with that. And so I'm really trying to get our catering managers that are there during events to take those pictures and share them and post them or send them to me so I can do the same. But like I said, I'm much more active on Facebook than Twitter.
And Catherine from our audience wants to know, are you using Google+?
Yes, but in a limited basis. There's just so many things to manage. So I do have some information and photos on Google+, but not to the extent of what we have on Facebook, unfortunately.
Yeah, and these are good questions because I often hear from people, there's so many social channels and, how do I manage the ones I'm on? And I think the important thing, and something it seems like you're doing, Christine, is, you don't have to be all things to all people. I think understand where your guests are and what your guests are, what social sites they're using, and then, narrow it down, because you could spend your entire life, right, just managing content on social and nothing else, because there's just so many of them. So, if your guests are not on Pinterest, then, perhaps you shouldn't be on Pinterest. If your guests are not on Google+, maybe don't focus on that as much. So, I think it's just dependent on where your audience is.
Well, and Pinterest is something that we want to get much more active on because we are such a popular location for weddings. We've been talking to the catering staff again to, periodically I go on, but I know it needs to be more often than that. So, but like I said, Facebook's a big focus for us, but with the support of the staff, we hope to really add some additional content to our Pinterest page for the Galvez, especially because, like I said, we have so many weddings there, and as we all know, brides like to do their research on Pinterest.
Yes, exactly. Well, thanks, Christine. Judging by all the great questions we've had from our audience, people really enjoyed hearing what you're doing at the Galvez, so thanks for sharing that with us. To recap Christine's takeaways, the idea is use a variety of media to tell your story to be informative and entertaining, and create snackable chunks that consumers can easily consume, supported by imagery with bold and interesting headings and short descriptions and music to match your brand. And then you can keep all of your media in a single gallery is obviously ideal. You don't want to force guests to click off your site to view different forms of media. And be authentic, amusing, and connect emotionally, like we saw Christine do with the little couple posting on social channels and the sizzle and romance stories. And then share and repost and retweet what your partners are saying about you. So that will extend your reach and drive more interaction back to a channel like Facebook, because when a guest posts something on their timeline, it gets posted there, but also a link back to your site. So it's another great way to extend your reach. And so now at this point, I am going to launch our last poll, because we want to understand what you thought of today's content, so that we can know what to focus on in future and how to continue to improve and make them better for our audience. So based on today's content, you have 3 answers to choose from. For sure, I'll attend another webinar in the future. I'm not sure if I will, based on today's content, or no, not so much. It's not likely that I will attend another webinar in the future. So I'll wait for the majority of folks to chime in, and then we will continue with the closing portion of today's webinar. So the majority of you have weighed in, and thank you for giving us that feedback. We really appreciate it. And so just in closing, I'd like to leave you with a few thoughts and a brief word about Leonardo's visual storytelling platform that we call vBrochure. And we offer this solution to marketers to help you achieve some key business objectives, which include reaching and engaging consumers while they're shopping, communicating the value you're providing so that you just don't sell on price, and we would like to give you an opportunity to set yourself apart from the competition so that the shopper chooses your property with the certainty that it's the right choice for them. Leonardo's vBrochure is multimedia driven. Every feature from web galleries to mobile websites to Facebook apps is filled with compelling multimedia visuals that entice travel shoppers. And it's also a one-stop shop for all your hotel's multimedia content. It's an easy-to-use web-based management tool that allows for a stress-free way to organize all your hotel's different visual storytelling elements. And so I invite you to join us on next month's webinar. We're going to be talking about the bleisure traveler, which is the blurring lines between the business traveler and the leisure traveler. And as I said at the beginning, we are going to send you a thank you for joining us email with a link to the recording that you can watch again or share with your colleagues. And as I said earlier, all of the details of the multimedia information and specs that I shared with you earlier are available from our ebook entitled Guidelines on Multimedia, and you can find that on our website. So if there are any last-minute questions, please send them in. And I'm going to leave our contact information up on the screen. Several of you have had questions about how to follow up with us directly, and so I'll leave this on the screen for a couple of minutes as we go through these last questions. Christine, lots of kudos to you for your portion. People really appreciated hearing about your experiences at the Galvez. So again, thanks for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Well, looks like all of the questions have been answered. So thank you, everyone. Today is Thursday, which is the new Friday. So have a great weekend, and hopefully we'll see you at the August webinar, or we'll see you next time you join us. Thanks again, everyone, and thank you again to Christine Hopkins from the Galvez. Talk to everybody soon. Bye-bye.